Hello, welcome to another edition of the Talking Basketball podcast. I am Mark.
I am Paul. Welcome back.
Welcome back. We've got another guest in.
We have a fantastic guest, Mark. We have a fantastic
How
guest.
fantastic is the guest today?
Well, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. It does not get bigger than this.
You almost ran out of notepad paper.
Yeah. Former BBL, Brighton Lions, Thames Valley Tigers, FIBA, GB, Solent Stars, Trailblazers. I could go on and on and on. Barrett in Chicago. I could go on, Mark. I could go on.
What was that place again?
Barrett. Is that right?
Barrett.
Oh.
Good start. I like that.
Here we go. Let me do it. Yeah, now, stand and cheer for former BBL player at guard, number 9, Mark Jackson. That was a good one.
I have never heard an entry like that. That's insane.
No, that's the standard now.
Hey, that's impressive.
We can give you this recording later, and you can just play that for yourself. Just at home.
Cool.
When you get a text message.
Yeah.
Now.
Do it at home when you walk in the house.
It's like the Chicago Bulls entry music.
Yeah.
You
Gave
say,
me goosebumps.
"Hello, Alexa." That's how it's got to reply to you.
Well, Mark, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the podcast. Like, we really appreciate you having, your
Storied history.
well, again, I don't know where to start. So, I mean, there's so much, a wealth of experience of like Mark's basketball career.
That's not saying you're old as well.
Yeah, I am old. I am old. I get told this on a daily basis at my place of work.
So, Mark, well, I'll tell you what, we got two Marks here. So,
Yeah.
Mark, and you're going to be Jax, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, Jax, where do you want to start with this? I
I don't
mean,
mind. Where do you want to
Take
start?
us back.
take us back. Let's go back
Childhood.
let's go back. I guess it's going to be like maybe Mickey Byrne. Is that
Okay.
where it started for you?
Yeah, a little bit before that. How far back do you want to go?
As far back as you can.
All right, I'll keep it short and sweet then. So I was playing football first at 9, and then realised quite quickly not to do a throw-in, as a chest pass. So I did a chest pass instead of a throw-in, and my coach was like, "Nah, it's not for you. It's not for you." So I went and found basketball. My mum found it actually in the newspaper and said, "Do you want to do something for the summer? You look bored." So yeah, I'll go pick a ball up, and then found basketball. And then from there, I started playing a lot more. Got involved with the club. Then I found Mickey Byrne. He's my first National League coach. Before that, there was Jimmy Guyman and Jeannie Asher. But Mick was my first coach, when I got the opportunity to play for Portsmouth Pirates, they were called.
Yeah, the Portsmouth Pirates. That was with like Andy Rowlands and
Alex Byrne was on my team.
is it Luckett? Was Luckett around then?
Yep.
Andy Luckett.
His dad was doing getting the coaches for you, wasn't it?
It was a good setup. My dad used to drive me down there. We used to come down to Portsmouth and play. And then Mick, then they encouraged us to play for Solent Stars Youth. So when we were like 14, 15, we were encouraged to play with the men's team. So like Alex and I would go and play with the men. And you had guys like Paul Philp, who's a legend, let's put it that way. Paul Philp, you had like Martin Dowdall, Joe Moran.
Martin Dowdall.
We had Jason Colgan. I mean, Craig Metcalf. These guys were names to me. They were big.
Yeah.
And I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember what division we were in. I know we played and we went to our Wembley final. Alex and I went up as ball boys because we was only teenagers. But yeah, we got to watch them play at Wembley Arena. Big Nick Burns, he was like 7 foot tall. To me, he was like a giant. And then Paul Philp throwing passes like they were bullets. Like literally, you're 5 feet away from him and he'd throw it like a bullet and then expect you to catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great playing with adults when we were only like 14 and 15.
Quick learning curve.
Yeah. And
That's
Mick
sink
was
or
an
swim,
intense-
isn't it?
Yeah, Mick was an intense coach to play for. He'd let you know if you made a mistake, which is.
Did you ever lose a game and he drive off with a bus?
No, I never.
You were
heard
lucky.
That. No, yeah, I've heard stories of Mick driving teams and then telling people they're not getting in the bus, this, that, and the other. Mick used to drive me from when I played for the juniors. We went to play at Plymouth. And Mick drove me all the way to play with the men's team at Plymouth. And I remember being asleep in the passenger seat. Mick was driving, and I used to flinch when I slept. And I just flinched one time and smacked it while he was driving. I remember waking up going, "Oh, sorry, Mick, sorry." He was like, what are you doing? I tried to swing on my own coach. But no, he was cool. He used to take me to and from. A lot of fun playing for Mick.
I think what Mick did a lot for people. Like, there'll be so much Mick did for people that we'll never know about.
He enabled people to play.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what he
gave
did.
you an opportunity. Yeah.
Gave you that
And the
opportunity.
financial side of it,
Yeah.
he dealt with a lot of that for people as well.
Made it accessible for people to get in and just get playing.
Yeah.
Which, like you say, people don't always appreciate I won't say the backroom staff, but everything that's the overhead that goes on with
Yeah.
just running one team or getting a court or
Yeah.
refs and travel and logistics of having a load of kids there. And
Yeah. He never used to sugarcoat anything either. He would tell you to your face if you messed up.
But that's what you like as a player,
when
isn't it?
When we were a junior, you didn't want to sugarcoat it. Just tell me I did
Yeah.
that wrong, and I'll prove you wrong the next time, kind of thing.
And I think for a lot of people, that mentality is actually better because it's like, yeah, okay, I know where I stand. Okay, I can do something about that or try.
Yeah.
So yeah, that mentality is nice to have from him. And let's be fair, if you were softer about it or you're upset about being shout, you probably wouldn't stay on the team anyway, would you?
No, you had to have thick skin back then.
Yeah, very thick skin with him. I remember a guy he came on, I think he missed a layup, and it was like sub. He was on for about 20 seconds, and he walked off and sat at the bottom of the bench. And I just remember going, oh, that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Sat like
That's the wrong place to sit.
You know, you had like 6 of us on the bench and then like 6 spaces and then him. And I was like, he's not coming. He didn't come in. He literally played 20 seconds the whole game. He never played for us again. But yeah. Wrong attitude, isn't it? Wrong attitude. You've got to think about it. So yeah, like happy memories of the Pirates, the Portsmouth Pirates.
Yeah. I mean, 47 now. I don't remember all of the games. I couldn't tell you all of them, but yeah, it was a good time. It was my first chance to play National League basketball. Go up to Brixton, play all these teams. You know, get to see other kids playing basketball that aren't just in the Southampton area that you see on a weekly basis. You started travelling around and seeing what other people could do.
What was that transition like then? From taking it from like a local kind of league to that
stage.
Yeah. Is that one of the biggest steps, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Like we were playing here and you got comfortable playing with the people you knew. And then you're on a bus and you're going to Brixton and you're playing against Top Cats and these kids play with chips on their shoulders. And now you're like, oh, this is for real. This is how good these kids are. You think you're good in your little town in Southampton, and then you go up to London and you play East London Royals, and these kids are on the England under-16s program, and you're thinking, yo, these guys can hoop. You know, this is impressive stuff. Now I need to up my game. So that was good, being able to play on a stage that showed you what the talent was like. Brixton's an intimidating place to play when you were a junior. Back then, it was intimidating.
It was intimidating in men's as well.
Yeah.
One thing, I don't know what, the only thing I remember about Brixton was in the corner there was like a full-on DJ.
Yeah, that's it. Kiss FM.
And it was like the whole during the game. That's what I didn't really get.
It was intense to play in, but you had guys like myself that would love going there. You liked the banter, you liked the pressure of being under it. It was fun playing up in Brixton.
And so those experience that you had from that young age, I guess that's developing you as a player that you turned into. So you got that thick skin because you're dealing with Mick. You have those harsh atmospheres, let's say, and then you're going into, you're just used to it by then.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of set me off on, when I went to America and I went to Barrett, my coach used to play mind games with guys. He was a psychologist, and he used to try and get inside your head to see if you were strong enough. Like, he used to walk around with a fake plane ticket in his back pocket. And if you missed a layup or you didn't shoot a shot, he'd wave at me, be like, I'm going to send your ass home, bro. Like, man, shut up. And then I remember in my first year, he was harsh, man. My first year, I went over there as an 18-year-old playing. And then my senior year, because I was captain, like junior, senior year.
Oh, wow.
I gave him a letter, and I sort of said, look, appreciate everything you did for me, coach. Thanks for being a prick in my first year. Because you kind of molded me into the player that I was, a bit more thick skin.
Yeah.
Like I watched him make 6'6" guys cry. He used to get in their face, right up under their nose, and yell at them. And if they weren't mentally strong enough, they would just ride the bench. So yeah, being able to play over here against those kids like Brixton and that, just kind of sent me over to America ready, really.
So what's that like? So you're going over to America, and look, not to be harsh, but in those days, English, we weren't known for competing against Americans as far as basketball is concerned. So you're really out there.
Yeah.
I guess with a point to prove, like, we can play.
Yeah.
What's that transit? What's that like going into that environment?
Well, I was fortunate enough. Jimmy Guyman was working alongside me, and he kind of encouraged me to go out to a camp, and I got spotted, so I got to play against other American kids. But back then, I wasn't really thinking, oh, you're American and I'm English. It was more a case of, I play basketball and so do you. Let's see who's better. And my first year was tough. I used to sit on the bench a fair bit behind this American point guard, but you just paid your dues, worked hard, practiced hard, and then tried to get into the rotations.
Were you better than them?
Some of the senior point guard was very intelligent, and I was brought over as a point guard. And then my coach realised I had a relatively good outside shot, and I used to spend a lot of time on their shootways in the gym when I didn't play. So I might not play for one whole game, and I'd just stay in the gym. And then he moved me to a shooting guard. So I played 3 years at the 2 spot, and I used to love it. Coming off screens, catching, shooting offenses, kind of thing. And he used to bring in point guards to play alongside me. So yeah, it was a really fun time playing over there in the States. But it was a lot slower game, I've got to be honest. I look back at the videotapes and I think, okay, it's a slower pace than it is now. These kids nowadays are ridiculously athletic at 16 years of age.
What about spacing though?
Yeah, spacing wise, I think there was more tactical and more thought out and a bit more methodical back then. The league I played in, NAI Division 1. But now it's just this whole shoot within 10 seconds of the offense has just changed massively. I mean, our shot clock was 35 seconds. You had 10 seconds to get it over. Guys would literally take most of the 35 seconds to shoot. You play 2 20-minute halves. That's saying something.
Wow.
2 20-minute halves. I mean, that's not even thought of anymore, is it? So it's a completely different style of basketball.
Yeah, it's funny actually, the changes through the actual different leagues.
Yeah.
Like when we had Tom on, and Tom was saying, like, when you have the juniors and they're under certain ages, they have different times, and then you've got to get the ball over. Then that changes when you go a bit older. Then you get a bit older again. And then once you get to a different league, it's something else. In NCAA, something different. And
shot clock is different. It's different for the women and the men, isn't it? If you watch like the March Madness, the Final Fours, the men play in quarters, the women play in halves, don't they?
Yeah.
It's just nuts. But then when I was over there, my freshman year, I used to go back and stay with some of my teammates in their little country towns in Oklahoma. And I watched a high school game, and there was no shot clock. So like back then, there was no shot clocks.
Yes,
guys used to
Steve
pass
Davison said that.
They used to just pass that ball around for 10 minutes, and the score would be like 6-4. It's just like, what is going on?
It's like a football score.
People would just stand at the halfway line with the ball under their arm. If you played a zone, it wasn't even happening. They would just stand there and stare at you. So yeah, it just blew my mind. I was like, why no one playing defense? Well, there's no shot clock. Well, how can you play this game with no shot clock?
yeah, that is weird.
It's bizarre now, isn't it?
The rules have evolved so much. It's nuts.
That's really bizarre thinking there's not, because you actually asked Steve Davison that question. Could you just stand on the halfway line? And as long as you got the ball, you could, in theory, win 2-0.
Yeah, because in Steve's thing, he mentioned obviously going to Oklahoma as well. But you say you one of the first drafts of.
Yeah. I went over with Chris Sheldrick. And Chris is, he must be about my age. I went over, and then Chris came with, and then shortly after that it was Dwayne Late, who made a little career of himself playing for Towers and stuff. He went to New Mexico to play, and then Steve and Matt Eames and them came out after us. I think I'm a little bit older than Steve. Yeah, Steve must be just over 40 and I'm 47.
You'd have been a couple of years behind you.
So you're in Oklahoma.
Yep.
And then where's the Chicago connection then?
So I played, they have like a cage camp. Jimmy Guyman was very good friends with Dan Hayes, the guy that ran the camp, and he used to allow some of Jimmy's boys to come over.
I mean, how many people did Jimmy Guyman set up? Really?
No, there's a lot of kids going for that.
That's
and then
crazy.
Somewhere down the line, something happened and it just kind of fell apart. But I went out there with Dwayne and Chris, and then you play at camp. You just do all your stations and your drills, but there's 40, 50 high school coaches and college coaches that are coaching alongside, as well as just coming to just like watch. So one of the coaches, Coach Nigro, was just like, do you want to come and play at my college? I think Jimmy had a lot to do with it as well. I think Jimmy gave him a call and said, look, this kid's looking for somewhere to go. And he offered me a scholarship, and I had to come back in July, get my visa and fly out at the beginning of September. It was brilliant. Literally come back, got my visa, jumped on a plane and left.
Brilliant.
Got met at the airport by one of the players, taken to the dorm, dropped off. See you at practice in about 5 hours. Just sat in the dorm room like, now what? Unpack your bag and just go and find the gym. That was it.
I guess if you're in that position, like just playing basketball is probably what you're going to do, isn't it? Like,
yeah. That was like your comfort blanket.
Yeah.
It's like, it's always been that way. It's just, I don't know what to do, but there's a sports over there. Let's go shoot some hoops and see if I can get the ball out and see what's going on and have a walk around. But yeah, that was 1994 and I graduated in 99. So no mobile phones, none of that stuff. It was just go and chat to people, which, to be honest, I'm quite thankful for. I wouldn't have wanted to do it with a mobile. I'd have just stayed in my room all the time, just surfing the internet. But we had TVs.
And when you went over there, I mean, I'm only asking this just because of some of the stories I've heard.
Yeah.
Was there any politics involved in as far as playing and certain players have to be in the starting five?
Oh, when I was in the States?
Yeah.
Not really. Coach might have had one or two favourites. A good teammate of mine, his name's Brian Goodman. He's now coaching one of the NCAA top teams. He was the point guard at the time, and him and Coach had quite a good relationship. So I was kind of his backup. It's not so much politics. It's more a case of you're going to have to earn your stripes.
Yeah.
You can't just come in. I came in with a freshman called Kevin Burris, and Kevin was from Oklahoma, and we were very similar players, but he was a bit more of an athlete, scorer, bit of a hothead. So he was getting a few more minutes than me. So I had him battling with me and him to and fro. And some games I get more minutes than him, some games he get more minutes than me. And it was nice because we built a bond of we're both trying to get in this starting lineup here. Let's help each other out rather than trying to go at each other. And eventually for a sophomore year, we started to get more minutes because the seniors all left. And then junior, senior year were the years that I really kind of come out of my shell a little bit.
Sorry, I'm just writing down. So it's freshman,
sophomore, junior, senior.
Sophomore, junior, senior.
What's their kit like? What was the kit like?
We were the Bulldogs, but it was made by a company called Rawlings. Do you remember Rawlings?
Oh, yes.
We had either Rawlings or it was Russell Athletic, and the kit was huge. Shorts down by my knees.
You're saying, as I was thinking, mid-90s, and I just saw a GIF the other day.
That's when it was exploding, wasn't it?
The shorts.
I was over there before. Do you remember when Arkansas got them shorts? It literally came down past their knees. Yeah, ours came to our knees, and we used to have, like, it was all the aerated, heavy stuff now. And I used to wear it, and it used to give you nipple chafe, a bit like that. But yeah, you didn't care back then. Yeah.
The Blue Fury kit.
Yeah, so it's like blue, we were the Bulldogs. And like, it used to blow my mind because coach would be like, right, you got some money to go into the shopping centre. For what? You go buy your team shoes. You all got like $100, go find a pair of shoes. I'm like, yeah, you buy us shoes? And then the second year, he got everybody Converse, so we're all wearing the same shoes. And to this day, I still want to get my college kids at Brockenhurst like the same shoes.
That is really cool.
That's cool,
isn't it?
We're all wearing the same shoes here. Like, but now everybody loves their own identity, and they all like their own little fancy LeBrons, or they want KDs, or they want Kyries.
He doesn't like LeBron shoes.
No, they're really narrow.
They're too heavy, man.
He put them on in the shop, and he almost had a spitting fit. He was like, "These are the most uncomfortable shoes in the world."
To me, they're made for someone who's 6'6", 6'7". They're big.
They were just really long. They were narrow and long.
Really, just like squashing your feet.
I'm a fan of the Kyries. I wear a pair of Kyries at the moment. They're pretty nice. But yeah, it was fun. Good 4 years, and then I came back.
What's like the highlight of time in Chicago?
Well, I was the highlight. These are some cheesy ones. So I was named Homecoming King. Check this, right? So the only English dude in the college, and I was named the Homecoming King. What a joke that was! And then I made the all conference first team. That was cool.
Oh wow!
Junior, senior year, the CCAC, and I led the 3-point percentage in my junior year.
Can you remember what that percentage was?
No, not off the top of my head. I just remember just having the green light. Coach just give me the green light to shoot. I at least love it.
So how just.
So you were the king before
No,
LeBron.
It was ridiculous.
How
they named me the Homecoming King.
How many shots were you throwing up then?
Getting up on a daily basis.
Well,
way more than now because we had to shoot away. Back then there was no doctored dish.
No.
It's literally the thing used to roll down the arm. I've got one actually at my college in Brockenhurst. The kids use it. But yeah, I don't know, 1,000 shots a day.
Wow.
Because you could get it up when you had the shoot away machine. They would just roll back to you. You were just taking it off the rack and letting it go.
And how many in-game shots were you taking?
Oh God, I don't know.
I'm just curious because, like you said, it's a different pace, a different type of game. So just curious.
Anywhere between 30 and 40, I would have said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you run a lot of. Used to run a lot of offenses through the 2 spot, but yeah, it must be around 30 shots perhaps. Yeah. Most teams we played back then used to play kind of special zones, and you used to just be able to pick it apart. Plus the 3-point line was closer, so it was like a set shot. Like the 3-point line intersected the top of the circle.
Yeah.
So like now, if you moved into that spot, it's like a set shot, and
yes,
if you're on the line, it's not much to it. So yeah.
And then I guess like coming back from America.
Yeah.
And then I guess you were helping Mickey again with the To The Hoop stuff.
Yeah, I used to come back in the summer and help Mick with To The Hoop. To The Hoop camp, there's a lot of people out there that will tell you that's one of the best camps they used to go to.
That was a brilliant camp.
It was
Did you ever go to that?
No, I wasn't allowed.
A week long, Portsmouth Grammar School. I mean, now you couldn't even dream of doing that, risk assessment wise. Like the kids were sleeping in the classrooms on cabin beds.
We were in the theatre. That's where
coaches were in classrooms doing whatever the hell they wanted to do. There was food being thrown around at Tuck Shop. It was brilliant. Like there was so many kids there, Solent kids, Portsmouth kids, people from outside of the Southampton and Portsmouth area used to come down for camp. I mean, you had the best coaches.
Yeah.
Alan Cunningham, Colin Irish, Carl Brown. You had like Carl Miller. You had John Tredsman, Yorick Williams,
Steve Nelson.
Yeah, you wouldn't get those names all at the same time at a camp nowadays.
And the thing was, everyone at that camp was still, I guess, in the aftermath of the Portsmouth FC basketball club days. So we were looking at those, like the coaches, like, wow, they're absolutely amazing. They're hit, like we just like completely idolised them.
Yeah.
I remember Colin Irish used to have like a little side hustle as well. He would bring like a bag of like his old clothes or something he's never. The Converse stuff. That was it. And he'd 40 quid. Yeah.
He used to sell off his own clothes. Yorick Williams used to have side hustles. He used to come down and he'd be like, Jax, if you ever need a washing machine, you know where I am. I'm like, Yorick, you live in Manchester. You're miles away from me. But no, yeah, we had a lot of time, a lot of fun in the camps in the evening time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to help him out for that in the summer when I used to come back. Well, I was back for 6 weeks and then I'd go back out to the States.
Okay. Well, those To The Hoop camps were brilliant though. Like, I just remember you used to do obviously the station stuff and all that, but then it would end, I think, maybe halfway you would have like a collection of the best players take on the coaches.
Yeah, coaches versus
then you would
players.
have
there was always evening games, wasn't there?
Yeah.
League games in the evening.
Then you'd have your teams, and that would be a competition, see who was the best team. Then you would have 1-on-1 tournaments, 3-on-3 tournaments, best 3-point shooter, best free throw shooter. It's great.
They got Jimmy in one year. Jimmy came down to do a talk.
Yeah.
Well, I remember this. It's a funny story. Jimmy said, can I use you to shoot in front of the camp while I'll talk to the camp about shooting? I'm like, yeah, cool. So I'm shooting, hitting these shots from the elbow. They're all, they're going in. I'm like, oh, this is great. The kids are watching. And he turns to the kids and he says, that's the reason why Jax will never be a prolific shooter. And I'm sat going, what the hell? What? And he went, he always jumps and he lands about 6 inches to the left. And I'm stood there thinking, shit, yeah, I do jump and I land 6 inches to the left. But I was thinking at the time, damn, you throw me under the bus here. You've got me shooting and now you're telling everybody while I'm never going to be a prolific shooter. It was hilarious at the time. I was like, he needs to jump straight up and straight down. I was thinking, yeah, you're probably right.
I've got to ask this, just because of the other stuff we've heard that Jimmy Guyman said. Was he saying that for the kids' benefit or yours?
Yeah, this is it. Sometimes you think, like Jimmy.
He's not saying that for their benefit.
No,
he's
like
saying
Jimmy was awesome. There was one, I remember a Solent game.
Especially you're going back to America.
Yeah, he was kind of like saying stuff, but also in a roundabout way, telling you something, but not making it obvious. Like, I never found Jimmy really approachable. I couldn't go up to Jimmy and say, hey, Jimmy, how's life? Like, I didn't feel like I could approach Jimmy. He was that guy. I felt like if Jimmy wanted to say hello, he'd say hello. But one Solent game, I'll never forget it. I rolled my ankle and it was a close game. And someone said, go to the changing room. And as I'm in the changing room, Jimmy's come in and he strapped my ankle up like you wouldn't believe. And he's like, get back out there. And he's just put my shoe on and I'm back out there playing. Like, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to come down. He was just like, the kid needs to get out there and play. So he strapped my ankle up, and I'm back on the court playing. Like, that was Jimmy, really. Like, he was a man of not many words. I didn't have a good relationship. Like, Painter probably had a really big relationship with Jimmy through the Kestrel program, etc. But my relationship with him wasn't like, you wouldn't go up to him and just start having a massive conversation. But for him to come down and do that, that was a good moment.
So just on that note, got to ask you, as a coach now, has that changed your mentality supporting kids?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first come back and I started coaching, when I come back from America, I was a bit like my coach from America, hard ass, pretty much get on your case. You weren't doing what you was told, sit down. But you're getting older and you have your own kids, and now you're seeing, like, I definitely see a change in the teenagers at the college I work at. Kids don't react well to just getting in their face anymore. No. Like, Jimmy used to just cuss people out and make sure that you were aware you messed up, and we could all pretty much just deal with it. But if I did that to a kid now, they'd either not come back, I'd have a phone call from someone's mum telling me that I can't talk to that kid like that. Times have changed, so you have to coach differently. You have to kind of just, like, not sugarcoat it, but be tactful about how you speak to kids now, I think.
Yeah. Not that many people know this, but I used to do a lot of the coaching for the Fun and Fundamentals on a Sunday. That would be kids anywhere from there was like an under 5 section, an under 7 section, 9 and 11.
Yeah.
And there was one weekend where I was struggling to get help for a coach. So I phoned Mick up and went, Mick, I don't suppose you could do me a big favour. This was probably about 5-6 years ago.
Oh.
But Mick, I don't suppose you can do me a big favour like that. Can you come down and help me coach? Yeah, good Al, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like, brilliant, I've got a coach, awesome. So I went, Mick, look, I'm going to go and do the under 6s, because literally it's just like having fun and playing, isn't it, with them. So can you do the under, like, 10s, I think it was. And within about 10 minutes, I could hear, bloody hell, like that. Within 10 minutes, 3 kids were crying. And I was like, Mick, you got to tone it down. And he goes, bloody hell, good hell, everyone's soft nowadays.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Yeah, mate, you just can't get away with screaming at a 10-year-old anymore. But looking back at the time, I was like, oh man, and some of the parents were looking, but looking back, it was funny because it was that pure transition of that coaching mentality from the 80s into now. But Mickey Byrne, what a bloody legend. Who was more of a, I guess, what's the right word to say? A passionate coach. You're coaching, like, what's your coach in Chicago like compared to Mick?
Yeah, my coach in the States was a hard ass.
Yeah? Worse than Mick?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, he used to let you have it. I mean, there was a time where, I remember he used to do stuff to get you fired up. Like, once he played those mind games, he knew how to push your buttons to get you to play harder. Like, he one time grabbed my jersey, like, on the middle of my chest, and he'd, like, slam his fist into my chest and be like, come on, rah, rah. And you, at that time, you're stood there and you're, like, clenching your fist as if to say, right, this coach just hit me. And some of my teammates kind of, like, just holding your wrist, saying, just chill. But then he knew full well, as soon as I'd step on the court, I'd be pissed at him, so I'd go play harder to prove him wrong, and he knew what he'd get from me. It was like, if he fired me up, he knew he'd go out there because I had that desire to try and prove him wrong or play hard to shut him up, that kind of mentality. But he was a bit of a hard ass.
That's I guess what the top coaches do, don't they? They know how they need to, get the carrot to the donkey.
Yeah.
And really, really get out of it. When we were talking about Last Dancers before we came on air, like, you think of Phil Jackson, the way he spoke with different players, the way he handled Rodman was different how he handled Jordan.
Yeah.
You had to imagine being the coach of Jordan. Like, how do you handle that? Where at that point it was one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah.
Regardless of the basketball accolades, it was just the fame aspect of it on its own. He had to deal with that.
Yeah.
You can't deal with that the same way you deal with Steve Kerr.
Nah.
Or Luke Longley. Or you have to manage all of these people. Pippen having a seat on the bench, and you have to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
And you have to find a way to get each individual person
he was good at that.
To give you everything that they've got in their very specific hole. But I guess in those days they were point guards.
Yeah.
They were forwards. They weren't 1s, 2s, 5s.
Yeah.
It's a
Now
different game
everybody
now,
plays every spot. But like Matt Guyman had my coach as well. Matt might have a different opinion to Ralph. His name is Ralph Nigro, Coach Nigro. So when I came back, Matt went out to high school, and then he went out to college, and he played at high school for my old coach. And I don't think their relationship was. I think their relationship was tough. Matt used to find him quite difficult. So Matt might have a different opinion. I remember talking to Matt about Coach, saying, "What do you think of him?" And he had his opinion on him. But obviously, I went out there. I was a bit younger than Matt when he went out. So,
just for the record, Mark, Matt Guyman, 4-time National League Div 1 head coach champion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's 4. Is it 4?
And he's got a national championship with Oklahoma.
Okay.
His university.
Oh, we'll have to get him on.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Get Matt on. He's a player too,
Yeah.
man. Streetball.co.uk.
Wow. There you go. Matt, if you're listening.
I can't remember if they called him white chocolate or whatever they called him, but if you look at streetball.co.uk, there's this little skinny kid running up and down, tricking everybody. Under 16s, making passes behind his head.
He was doing a Jason Williams
Matt was a hooper, man. It's a shame Matt stopped playing.
You know what? Just going back to something you said, it'd be amazing the psychology behind it about how.
I love the plane ticket. I love that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
just like
waving that.
It was like a little warning.
Like there will be a coach who, literally is going to grab you and do that, to get the response out of you.
Yeah.
Whereas for another player, he's going to put his arm around him. Saying,
Yeah.
Come on, you're
Be
doing
more
really well.
nurturing, yeah.
A psychology around that.
Yeah, it's mental.
I think you're the same as me. As a player, when someone is, I guess, being aggressive towards you, that is what I would personally respond to.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you like?
Yeah, I don't do well with that.
So you want someone to put their arm around you? Are you okay?
No.
You want the aggression?
I don't. It's not much the aggression. I want a constructive aggression.
Yeah.
So I like it, like you were saying about with Mick. Like, go in there and just stop that man.
Yeah.
That's your job.
Yeah.
I don't want you to score. I don't care if you do anything else. That's your role. It's just to be annoying.
Mick's words would have been take his head off.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. And because I was a defensive player, so that's where I wanted that. It's a case of this is your role. Do this.
Yeah.
And that's where I sat in basketball. I'm happy with that.
There's a coach that did that very well. Nick Nurse, when I played for Brighton Bears, when I joined the Bears, he had some very high caliber players. And he had Randy Duck that played out at California with Jason Kidd. He had Albert White, and he was a McDonald's All-American with Jerry Stackhouse.
Oh wow!
So like I used to live with Albert and Errol Seaman and that, and we used to give each other lifts to practice. And Nick at the start literally circled everybody up and said, "Look, this is your role." He went around the whole team. He said, "Jax, your role is to get the ball to the scorers, shoot when you're open, don't turn the ball over, and play defense." And then you went, "Right, if I do all of those things, I'm going to play."
Yep.
He said, "Errol, don't get a rebound. I don't need you to shoot unless you're inside the paint. Don't do it." All right, done. So everyone had their role, and if everyone played their part, that was great back then. But now, I don't think that works so much with basketball today. Because there's no positions. It's positionless basketball. You can't say your job is to go and get rebounds because technically everybody's your board.
Yep.
But back then, Nick was very methodical because it was a big man game, I'd say. We were guards facilitating bigs. And now the game's completely flipped on its head. Now it's bigs just setting screens for guards, running around, getting the ball. So yeah, it was nice to know the role, and Nick was very good at that at Brighton. Not very great at man management. Used to give the Americans some special treatment.
Wow,
Which used to annoy the
Did the same in Toronto, but
yeah. He used to annoy me and Errol. We used to leave Albert in his bed because he'd get up late, and we wanted to get up practice on time. And you walk in and you get, "Where's Albert?" He's a grown man. He's in bed. Why didn't you bring him? Because he's a grown man and he's in bed. And then he'd walk in late, Albert, about 15, 20 minutes late, just flick off Nurse. Nurse would flick him off back, and then that would be the end of it.
Wow.
It's just like, come on, man. You can't have one rule for them and one rule for us. Yeah, so that used to wind Errol and I up. But
I think that winds the team up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You got to treat everyone the same, I think. Even in those big teams. Look at those. Look, even the Jordan days.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we may get Dennis Rodman getting special treatment, maybe.
Well, when he left, he came back. He got on him, didn't he? When he jumped away and then came back, he kind of called him out in front of everyone.
But that was
he did.
That was the shock,
Raced us.
and that's the thing, wasn't it? Because they went, "We're going to give him his lead."
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give him his lead. All right, he's gone too far this time.
Yeah.
Give him the slap, and then that next game, there was a stat I saw the other day, and I saved it. I was trying to find it earlier.
Oh, his first game back was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then they had in 2 games, Rodman got something like 59 or
Rebounds,
89 rebounds, 0 points.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why he's one of my favourite players, because that's where I would sit.
That's what Jordan said.
What
wasn't
points was it?
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because he punished them, didn't he? He made them run around the outside of the court, and they were all deciding to jog.
Yeah.
And then when it was Dennis's turn to run to the front, he just took off.
Sprint.
Jordan's like, man, let's do it. So yeah, that was Dennis's mentality.
But that was the era of putting your body into it.
Yeah.
And then I won't say we got a bit soft in the NBA, but it was the game changed.
Yeah.
So it softened because the game changed.
Yeah.
And I think it's started getting a bit spicier now. And so
I think it is. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I
You'd like
noticed
to
it the
think
first
so.
time when we were in over in the States in 2019.
Yep.
And what we were there, and it was like, man, the physicality feels a lot harder than we remember.
Yeah.
Like from the last time we were over there, which is probably what, 2015, 2016, something like that. It's like, wow, it was noticeable. And this was first game. Maybe it was first game. Maybe they had a point to prove first game of the season. But
No, I think it was first, second game of the season. But yeah, they were. You could
Going
hear
at
the
it.
impact, and it didn't look like they were holding back.
And it was interesting because we were fairly close. We were able to walk around. So we just walked around the court, just do a little tour.
Yeah.
But you're then.
Which court did you go to?
This is Orlando.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you're walking around, and literally, like, it's like, oh, okay, this, like,
Yeah, there's
the
bodies.
opening season,
They're big boys over there.
it was
playing,
like,
let's be honest.
wow. But it was noticeably more aggressive. And then, like, yeah, you start this season, I don't know if it's the NBA Cup or whatever it is, but even LeBron
what is it?
pushing
The
off
NBA
the NBA Cup. I'm not saying the other
the
one.
in-season
No, I'm
tournament.
not saying that. But all the pushing off, it's like, it's almost like,
They
I want to
spiced it up
say,
again.
the NBA players. There's a little bit of frustration in there. That's how they're coming across. Like,
Yeah, you're getting how many people getting technical foul? There was one the other week, and it was like 4 people getting teased just in like a series of like 12 hours. There's 4 people getting technical.
There's a
getting
lot-
chucked out. And
there's a lot of talk about people talking about the physicality of the NBA more recently.
it's really stepped up.
Maybe the refs are easing off. I don't know.
I've got
They're
a
not-
yeah, the-
controversial one for you.
Yeah.
The refs
What
are
did you think of Draymond Green's choking? When he grabbed- when
bad
he
move
grabbed
by him.
Boha.
Bad move by him.
So I had a conversation with the kids at college. I'm like, I'm not a fan of Draymond. Draymond's just out there being a
Bully.
body banging people, and they're like, "Oh, you can't say that." He's like, what, defensive player of the year, and da 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 da. I'm like, he's out there just choking people, kicking people, and fouling. Yes, back in the era, he would have been great with the bad boys. They'd have loved him. They'd have had him in there, but now he's just out there.
I'm just going to throw a controversial opinion here. Now, we actually talked about this one, did we? I think we did.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noted out of that, and I watched it quite a few times, was it was the guy who came in. You had Draymond Green and
Rudy Gobert.
no, sorry, Thompson and someone having handbags.
Yep.
It was the guy who came in first. It's always the third player who kicks it off. So
Rudy Gobert got him.
So
Rudy Gobert tried to split the two of them up.
Yeah,
Didn't he?
and that's when.
but
Draymond
what's
Draymond
really
went after
slow,
him.
I could be wrong in my
Are
analysis.
you talking about Cat?
But it was the
Carl
guy who
Anthony
comes
Towns,
in.
big-
He's coming round. He doesn't choke him,
No.
but he comes round, and it almost looks like that's where it's going. And
Yeah.
that's what I think Draymond Green's seeing going, that's my teammate. There's no way you're doing that. And
Yeah.
that's why he grabs him. But my favourite part of that whole clip, and I've said this to you before, is Steve Kerr's face where Draymond Green grabs him by the neck and he's like, no.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? The crazy thing is, Draymond.
You just don't do the neck.
Yeah, but if you watch that, there was the NBA. I can't remember if NBA TNT or whatever they talk, but they were saying how he dragged him.
Yeah.
Like he should have
Yeah,
just
yeah,
let
yeah,
him go
yeah.
after
Yeah.
it was split. If he'd have let go,
That's too far.
that would have been. And then the reason they wanted him banned for 10 games, etc., because he just kept dragging him, and then he was looking at him as he was doing it.
Yeah.
If he'd have pulled him off, let go, split it up, he probably would have
Yeah.
stayed.
I'd agree with that. It just went on too much.
It's like he was enjoying
But-
dragging him over.
Again, you said this. Sorry, I'm pointing to Mark here. Not
Which
Mark
one?
Jackson. Mark. Chester. That in a couple of years' time, when he retires and they have his highlight reel, there might not be too many basket scores or rebounds or something like that. It's going to be a lot more of that physicality, impacts of the game.
They've made a reel, haven't they? There's reels going around. It's just literally like Draymond fouling people, kicking people.
Because he got booted in the nuts recently. And a lot of people were like, payback, because you've done that to so many people.
Yeah.
And he is a dirty player. I kind of like him in a way that I won't say he has that villain role, but he's going to be just a pain to play against.
Yeah.
Because he's dirty. There's no way around it. Because you get the other people who were dirty players as well, but they are just subtle about it.
Yeah. Unless you're Bill Lanebeer.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you owned it.
Absolute.
There's a good
legend.
There's a good 30-30 for you.
Yeah.
I hate Bill Lanebeer. What a show.
Yeah, I mean,
I hate Bill Lanebeer.
Oh, I've not seen that
30
one.
for 30. I hate Bill Lanebeer. It's brilliant. And there's one I hate Christian Laettner.
So what's your take on Dylan Brooks then? Since we're talking about the nasties.
Dylan just runs. Dylan's like a.
Is he a Reggie Miller?
No, he's more. I think he's more like, you remember Lance Stevenson used to wind people up.
Mm-hmm.
It's either he's winding superstars up because he knows he's going to get noticed.
Yeah.
Or he just likes winding people up.
Because he's lent into the whole thing like I'm my villain. But when you look at it, you think Reggie Miller was the one that people hated, but they hated him because he was so good.
Yeah, he used to hit clutch shots.
And arguably one of the best shooters. And when you look at some of the stats that Brooks puts up, you go, he's not actually a bad player.
No, he did well for Canada and the Worlds, didn't he?
It's just that he's, I think we did see him.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So we saw Lance Stevenson.
Oh, really?
Like in that.
When you were over in the States?
Yeah. In that time. So we were going to the Orlando games. And what we actually did, we went to watch an Orlando game. And then, do you know what Horror Nights is?
No.
So they basically take Universal Studios, kick everyone out at 5 o'clock and turn it into a massive scare park.
That would be unreal.
Yeah.
I'm talking people with chainsaws, zombies, and like people have heart attacks. Like they've got ambulances on standby.
Yeah.
Why would you want to go?
And they will take.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They will take a subject like, say, Freddy Krueger, and they will turn a whole house, and you're going in. Freddy Krueger's trying to kill you.
Bear in mind that this is Universal Studios, so it is a film. They are film sets. They have all the equipment. They have everything there.
Special effects.
They own all the rights to Universal Monsters. So when they're doing it, it's not like
when that's when whatever it is coming for you, it has got the movie sound effects. So you saw
Lance Stevenson there.
Yeah. After the Orlando game, we walked in and there's just one guy, just really tall.
Yeah.
And I think it was my brother was just.
Well, because we were with Morgan at the time, and Morgan's like 6'5".
Yeah.
So he's a tall guy, but it was like he's a big
tall.
dude. Yeah.
He's really big.
That's nuts.
But I mean, all of those players, you need to have the talent. If you're going to be the villain, you've got to have the talent to back it up.
Yeah.
And Lanebeer was dirty, but he,
most villains back then though they didn't call themselves a villain, did they? Like nowadays, these guys are like, I'm the villain, I'm this guy. The Pistons used to just smack people about and move on.
Yeah.
But you'd also have big players like, say, Charles Oakley or those, or I mean,
Anthony Mason, them boys.
Mason, like they were just big, hard-hitting people.
Yeah.
It was not, I'm a villain. It's just, I'm just a
play
big
a physical
dude.
game of basketball.
I actually love Bill Lanebeer. He's an absolute legend. He's a legend. I was actually
imagine playing against someone like that, though. I mean,
an honour, Mark. An absolute honour. I was watching the other day, funny enough,
about it.
when Bill Lanebeer in the finals against the Lakers, when Kareem went up for that hook shot, Bill Lanebeer went to block it, and they called a foul on him, and someone I can't remember who said it. It was no way a foul. Lanebeer's going straight up, and they called a foul on him. Pistons are. The guy, Kareem hits the 2, that's it, game over. And that was game 6, so Pistons could have won their first championship there.
Yeah.
And then someone said the ref didn't call it because that was a foul. He called it because of the 2,000 fouls he did before that foul.
Yeah.
That didn't get called. So
makes sense.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Just on this NBA topic, and then we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
What do you think of CP3 and that interaction with the ref?
Oh,
no, with the ref. You seen that?
No, I didn't see that. I saw
it's not good.
It checks out on the only thing I saw was when they were showing some referee's shoes, and then they saw Chris Paul talking to a ref. I don't know what that's about though.
It's the same. What's the ref called? Do you know who it is? It's the same ref who keeps chucking him out of games. So it is.
There's been like 15 years of it, and he's had various things of it.
The stats are ridiculous.
And this
when
ref
this
is
ref
also
is
the one
reffing
who
him.
was linked to the ref, who was the dodgy ref who got done for fixing. You know, one of those ones.
Okay.
And he was the ref who was getting calls from the dodgy one all the time, like after games and all this sort of stuff. And everyone was like, he's a known problem.
Yeah.
He's had literally written down
Why
known
is he
problems.
still reffing in the league?
Well, but specifically, why is he reffing a game that Chris Paul's in? Because there is a known history where there's a problem, and he ejects him all the time. And
those two, they'd clash.
So he was doing something, and something came up, and it basically looks like he's questioning him, going, "Come on, are you serious?"
It's quite tame, isn't it?
And then he's just like, "You're out.
You're out.
Off you go."
The only thing I would say in the defence of the referee, I'm not a lip reader.
We can hear it.
It looks like the ref's going, enough, holding his hand flat, enough.
Yeah.
Enough. And he says it, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Yep.
That's the only thing. However, I don't know what you think about this, Jax, is what I don't like about referees, and I definitely try to avoid it as a referee, is walking towards a player. And if there's a confrontation between you and a player, and walk, because I'm now being the aggressor coming towards you going, enough, whereas it should be, I should be walking away, maybe ignoring you or just saying, holding my hands up, enough, let's calm down, or something like that.
All of the refs, it seems that they can't take the banter.
Yeah.
And I get that they probably get so much that we don't hear.
Yeah.
But they also get great interactions with players as well, I imagine.
Yeah.
And, you know, we very rarely see those. But it seems that there's no means to escalation. It's a case of, don't do that. Right, you're on the bench.
Yeah.
And you think, well hang on a minute. You've got to give them a warning. You've got to give them, because you're playing. If you are the fans, you want to see your players fired up.
Yeah.
You want to see them wearing their heart on their sleeve.
It's entertainment for them.
Because what is the sport? It's an entertainment.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, everyone's there wants to win, but it's entertaining. You're there to entertain.
Yeah.
You've got to give. There's got to be a little give. The amount of times we see people getting slapped and you go, that was a foul, but they just count the dunk and move on. They're not giving the and one. You're like, surely that was a foul. They're like, oh, we just.
Yeah.
You know, one of the common themes I got criticised for reffing was not
the abuse that you've given refs for the last 20 years.
No.
That's why I could never be a ref. I'd tee everybody up. What'd you say? Technical.
Well, again, as a ref, I was the opposite, because I could appreciate the passion and the moment where they might turn around, and the ref got technical foul, and I'd be like, well, that's just emotion. I'm going to let that go. Yeah. And I know I got criticised for that quite a few times. It was like, well, why?
Yeah.
He's looking at a wall screaming. Why am I going to tee him up for that?
Yeah.
Like,
there's a few of those.
Yeah, it's this whole taunting rule, isn't it? Like, you can't look at someone if you scored on them because you taunted them. You get
or like a foul's been called against you, and this is classic. A foul's been called, and a player will bounce a ball very aggressively down and catch it.
Yeah.
I've seen tees for that. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you tee him up? That's out of order.
Giannis did one and he dunked it. It was like, and they called a tee for that, and he's like, he was doing it to no one. There was no one there. He wasn't flexing outside. You think, seriously?
Yeah.
And then LeBron got one a day or two ago for hanging on the ring. And he came in from the side, swung in, but he actually openly did that whole swing to assist himself back down. And you go, he could have maybe argued, I didn't want to land on my ass or whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you go, if he lifted himself back up, and he got the tee, and he went, that's fair.
You know what I did?
And you admit it. He's like, I shouldn't have done that.
You never see these boys foul out of a game, do you?
No.
Like, if you that's another interesting documentary.
Oh yeah, you don't, do you? Actually,
on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Their last foul's got to be big.
There's one.
Even referees say that local league. If someone's on, let's say you're on 4 fouls, the refs know you're on 4 fouls. That 5th foul is going to have to be something really big for you to be chucked out of the game. If it will affect the game, it won't affect the game. They're not going to be thinking about it.
So is that to your advantage?
For sure. If you know it,
these top players in the NBA don't foul out. They're entertainment. They can't. When's the last time Steph threw his gum guard and got thrown? Did he? But they don't foul out. These guys aren't in foul trouble. It's called unsportsmanlike. I think it's called on Disney or something.
Yeah.
Where they literally follow the NBA. It's about that guy, the NBA corrupt ref.
Yes.
And they literally say the NBA is corrupt and that they're referees.
What's that called?
I want to say it's called unsportsmanlike, but that sounds a bit too easy. But it's about the I think it's on Disney. It's about the referees over there and how corrupt they were.
Oh, I'm writing this down. I'll check it out.
Tim Donaghy,
Yeah.
former basketball official.
What is it? What's the documentary called?
I don't know. I'm just looking up for it now.
So they're saying about how referees are told
And he
to leave these
admitted
guys in
cheating.
the game. The referees are told to leave these certain players in the game. You can't foul this one out. You can't foul them out. Like Jordan didn't really foul out much, did he? Like
No.
Jordan might have got a T or a 2, but
So, I mean, that's silly. I mean, imagine, right, I'm a ref, and you're in the game, and I know that I'm not allowed to foul you out,
yeah.
and you know that as
Yeah.
well.
So they
like-
get away with stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But you're gonna. I suppose it depends on the player, though. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
you're
'Cause
going to play properly or you're just going to
If you
abuse
really
it.
it's when you abuse it. That's when they can't.
If you're out there
not
smashing
judge.
people, it's
Yeah,
obvious they're going to throw you out.
But then fast forward to now, then you get like I'm just even looking for that quickly on the phone. You get all these things saying players saying, "Oh, the ref has cheated us out of this, and the ref's cheated out of that," and it's that kind of one's dirtied the pool.
Yeah.
Now everyone's pushing up against it, and for some reason the way that the refs are approaching the game. Last season, some of the worst refing I've seen. Like the
Yeah.
consistency was shocking, and I know that you've said to me more than anything else, being a ref, it's about being fair with the consistency of being.
That's the only thing I always
Like how
try
you
to do.
judge
Be
a ref.
consistent. If you're
Yeah.
going to be, or judge them. If they're, I'm not going to say a bad ref, but people are human. You have a bad day. If you're having a bad day at both ends of the floors, I don't think anyone will complain. But
No.
If you're being hard, you be
You're
hard with
consistent.
everyone. Whereas if you're just like letting it go, you let everything go. It's
Yeah.
not pick and choose. And,
yeah.
and they just have that really bad consistency.
Well, we
But-
need to do an NBA show. We need it about refs.
Oh yeah, I
Get a
think
ref on.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Get the
I am
legend that's
trying.
Tim Brown. Get him on.
Tim Brown.
I used to love Tim Brown's a good ref to me. Tim used to talk to players. He was that guy that we were talking about earlier. Like if he could see you doing something that you weren't supposed to do, he'd run by you and be like, "I can see you, and I can see you hand checking. The next one I'm going to call," and you'd be like, "Thanks, Tim." But yeah, and if
What's your favourite
Hey,
naughty move then?
I never got a
What's
bloody
your
warning
favourite
from
naughty
Tim.
move? Come on.
I've learnt like over time, like, I was trying to teach my kids the other day. You know when you drive by someone, you get your first step, and you use your offhand to protect the basketball. Now with that offhand, I grab the back of someone's calf, like behind their knee.
The leg grab.
So then they can't step back. And this kid was like, "What'd you just do to my leg?" I was like, "Yeah, you couldn't move it, could you?" He's like, "You're not allowed to do that." I said, "Says who? It looks like I'm defending the ball. You referee ain't going to know that I've grabbed your leg." He said, "That's hooking." I said, "It's not hooking. Hooking's completely different. I've just stopped you from moving your leg." He went, "Yeah, but how do I do it?" So I taught this kid how to do it. But yeah, it's if you're too close riding the hip, I'm grabbing legs.
I love it.
Or
Oh
the
my
little-
God, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Teach me.
Yeah. Or the old poke to the stomach when someone's shooting. Like you must have done that. Someone takes a jump shot near you, you just tap the side of their knee or their leg. It's like off-putting.
It was. I always went for the face.
Yeah.
Like hand in the face. That's what I always went for. But you know what? I never really played with Mark at all.
No.
Because when you were, I suppose, National League, when I was National League and around Div 2, you were the trailblazer.
Yeah,
and I would have
yeah.
been the thing. But we had very, very few interactions, I think. But the one I do remember is
Oh,
it was a local league one, and I don't know why someone just said like, "Oh, they got Mark Jackson." I was like, "All right, okay, I'll see if I can wind him up." So I started going. I don't know.
Did you wind me up? I
You
don't
probably
remember.
don't even remember this.
I don't remember.
I just started going, "Old man Jackson, yeah, old man Jackson," or something like that. And I
I don't
didn't.
remember that.
And I think I might have hit a nerve. I don't know, because I remember putting a pick on, and I literally got an elbow straight into the ribs, and I was like, "Oh!" like winded me. It's like, "Sup."
I don't remember. I
Don't
apologise.
I sat down
I
and went,
never
Never.
purposely meant to hit you.
There's people lining up to do that to
No.
him. So
I sat down and went, "Don't say old man Jackson. Don't say it."
Man, I get that all the time, that old man. It spurs us on.
Yeah, it does. Right, let's go back. The
Back
NBA's
in the time
taken
machine.
over. So, you've just come back from Chicago Barrett,
Yeah.
graduated.
Yeah.
Was the transition straight to the BBL from there?
Yeah, so I came back and
Amazing.
I graduated in the summer, and then Paul James was at Thames Valley through another coach. Got in touch with him. They were looking for a backup point guard for their American, and they just signed me. Yeah, so I went and lived.
Oh wow! So it literally, what had anyone seen you play? Like,
not really.
It was based on the coach at Barrett going, "This guy can play."
Yeah, I came back here, and then through word of mouth, the people knew Paul James from in this area. He just kind of got wind that I was back, and I'd played in the States, and I went up. So I tried out up in Angmering. Aldershot Garrison. We went up and trained, and then he was like, "Yeah, we'll sign you."
Wow.
So then I was driving up there every night, playing with those guys, and
so you're still living down here?
Yeah, I lived with my folks. Yeah, I lived with my mum and dad. Dad used to drive me up because I couldn't drive at that point. I didn't learn to drive till I was like 22. So he used to drive me up, watch me train, and then I'd drive back. And then in the following seasons after that, I moved into the house with the players. Yeah.
They all in a big house?
They lived in two houses in Crowthorne next to each other. So I moved in there with a couple of the lads.
Wow.
But yeah, that was 1999, and that's when we went to the finals up at Wembley. That was quite an experience.
That's one of our favourite kits, Thames Valley Tigers. That was the stripey Tony the Tiger special.
This is orange, and my brother listened to the podcast where I say stripe. Was it a claw or was it just stripes?
It was like tiger stripes.
Tiger stripes.
Basically, tiger on kit, sponsored by Fila. You look at it and you think, what are we wearing? We're a bunch of tigers running around out there. But yeah, it was iconic.
Amazing.
Sponsored by Kellogg's.
Yeah, it was quite iconic.
I don't know what it would look like looking back on it now, but I remember as a kid looking at that kit going, that is one of the best kits. I still remember it going, what an amazing kit.
Like Bengal Tigers, basically.
It was pretty much like that, yeah. It was really big and baggy. I remember they're like, we don't have, because I joined halfway through the season, so they all had their names on their jerseys and everything, and they just gave me a jersey with no name on the back. I was just number 9, which is, I didn't really care. I just wanted to play basketball. So yeah, I was just number 9.
What number were you at college?
22.
Okay.
But it was just like, well, this is the numbers that are free. Just give me a jersey. I don't care. I'll have number 9. So I played in that.
So, just got to highlight Paul James. The one stat I love about him is, as a coach, he is won, with the exception of 4 BBL clubs, he's won as an individual more games.
Yeah.
With the exception of 4 clubs.
Yeah. The guy's been around forever.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He's a good coach. Yeah, I spent a lot of time playing for Paul.
Currently at Plymouth Patriots.
Yeah, doing well. I mean, I got in touch with him a few years back when we were doing like our all-in stuff, saying that he's a coach that kind of gave everything to the sport. He sent us a nice video and this, that, and the other. But yeah, it's nice because he did help the British players come through. It wasn't all about the Americans. Because he's a British player himself. He understood the need for English players to not just be sat on the bench backing up everybody, getting a 1 minute here, 2 minutes there. He allowed them to play a role in it. I mean, I had Lee Walker, who was Welsh, Stuart Robbins, who was Welsh, playing multiple minutes. Myself, Martin Godfrey, was playing for England at the time. So there was 5 or 6 guys that were all English caliber players. Who you had alongside Julio Pelletti. This dude was Argentinian, could just flat out hoop. He was in his 40s. When I was playing, the guy had a heart attack, carried on playing, not like literally, but came back from it, carried on playing. So yeah, it was nice playing for Paul in that essence because he allowed us a platform to showcase.
So what was that, coming from the States and playing in the States to then playing in the BBL? What was that like?
Like the transition between America and the BBL?
Yeah, because when we've been watching the BBL and getting back into it, it's fair to say, after 20-odd year hiatus, the thing that really stands out is British basketball has its own flavour.
Yeah.
It definitely has its own rhythm. It's not Euro basketball and it's not Americanised basketball. It's kind of its own thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, bit of Irish cricket's here now, Mark.
You wish. but what was that like? So you've come from Chicago, playing there, and then you come straight into the BBL.
So we went from, you in essence go from playing with like 18, 19, 20-year-olds that are all, they're still young men, to now I'm in the BBL and I'm playing alongside guys that played at Clemson. You played at Cornell. You're playing against Tony Dorsey, who was MVP, John White. You're playing against guys that have Like what's his name?
Seasoned.
Terrell Myers over at Sheffield. You got guys that played for Michigan. You got guys that played all over the place. We're talking D1 talent. So yeah, you think to yourself, right, I'm just a small part of this team. I'm a role player here. I wasn't brought in to be a superstar. We had KC Arena, who was our point guard at the time, and he was playing out of Maine, and he was their focused point guard for the last 2-3 seasons. So I knew my role was just to back him up, essentially give him a break, come in, do my job, and then give KC time to have a rest. But yeah, it was great because you went from being a good college player in your own team to going, all right, now this is the big leagues. And to me, it was the big leagues. Really, when you look at it, you think, man, it's British basketball. It's not like we're out in Spain playing in the Euro League or the Euro Cups, etc. But coming back and playing professionally in this country, and you played against D1 athletes, it was quite intimidating at first.
So you mentioned some American players as well.
Yeah.
Were there many European players coming through at that point? Because we obviously see more and more European players as time's gone on at the last.
Not
2
then.
decades. But
I'd say literally every team had 5 or 6 Americans, and we had
really?
5 or 6 Americans. Then was one New Zealand player, Piero Cameron, who played for the New Zealand All Blacks national squad. He used to come over and play BBL for Chester, and then go back to New Zealand and play in New Zealand. So he used to play all year round. And you had James Hamilton that did the same thing, played at Chester and then went overseas and played. So yeah, there was some big names, but not many Europeans, I'd say. It was mainly Americans. You had like literally 5 or 6 Americans on each team, and we're not talking Americans that have like British passports.
Oh, like
these are Americans.
Proper import.
Yeah. And then you had your English kids that were on the bench.
But I suppose I don't want to say it's bigger now, but we're looking at going, wow, like that is professional basketball. Like, you don't need to go into details of it, but your job is playing basketball.
Yeah.
You're getting a paid salary there.
Yeah, it was.
That's got to feel good.
At that time, you think, well, I'm getting paid monthly. We all did coaching. Like, we worked in primary schools coaching, and then we trained, and then we enjoyed ourselves in the evening when we went out. And then you got up late, went to the gym, went to coach, went to practice, went out, had fun doing it. But then at that point, you think, well, I'm a professional athlete. They give you a car that's got Thames Valley Tigers running outside. You're driving a car. I remember driving it down to Southampton, and it was a white Toyota Venzus with Thames Valley Tigers on it. I was thinking, yeah, big time. And I pulled up outside Icon and Diva in Southampton to pick up my friends as they were out having a few beers. I was like, I'll pick you up from outside. I remember a guy come out, and he thought I was a taxi. So he come up to me drunk as hell, and he's like, hey mate, can you take me to Hive? I was like, mate, I'm not a taxi. And he's like, I'll give you 20 quid, take me to Hive. I said, I'm not a taxi.
I only go to Thames Valley.
Yeah, I only go to Thames Valley and back, mate.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, it's written down a car, dude. No. But yeah, it was fun. And then what you don't realise at the time is it's going to end. And then, now what? Like, my degree was graphic design and art at uni. I wanted to be an architect, but basketball just took over. And then at the end of it, you're like, right, now the career, it's not life-changing money. It's not going to pay for your house. It's not going to, eventually it's going to stop. So you have to find a career some way. But yeah, while you were in it, it was brilliant, man. It was brilliant.
And that's the crazy thing. I look at it now and we've been talking about the finances of it, is if basketball was as big as football,
yeah,
like you'd have been on bloody good money.
Yeah.
Really good money.
Yeah.
If basketball was as big as football, even the National League players would have been in Div 2. You'd be getting $2,000 a week, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the money's going to run out, I think, in a lot of professional sport. I think that's going to change pretty soon.
Those boys at London Lions are on big money. Like Sam Decker's on about 800,000 for the season.
Wow.
Like, if you think he's been brought in as an ex-NBA player, they've got to match money, haven't they? And chatting to my coach at the GB, Dave Greenway, he said they all have houses up in Canary Wharf, so they've all got apartments, and they get a free Uber. So they get like a free Uber card thing, so wherever they want to go in London, they just get driven. They get fed after every practice, after every game. Like, it's a professional setup compared to what we were used to. Like when it was London Towers, they had Americans, but they were all living in houses, driving themselves to the training sessions, etc.
Yeah.
But now
there's definitely a big step up between, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, between I want to say everyone else in the league and London.
London
it's
Lions.
almost like.
Sure, it's nothing
It's
to do
almost
with
like-
the fact that the league owns them as well.
7-7.
No, but I mean, they own it. You know, I'd say as a business, they're not going, we want our team to win. I don't know. I can't see that myself. But I would say it feels like the budget for the 9 teams is, I don't know, let's say $1 million they're spending. I don't even know what they're spending. But then the London Lions is up another level.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're spending. But if you're saying 800 grand on one
They're
player,
on silly
you know.
money. I look at the caliber of players though. They just, when you go down their roster,
Yeah.
they
big
can
squad.
sit guys whenever they feel like it. Don't get me wrong, it bit them in the ass and they lost to Plymouth.
Yep.
And they've lost to Newcastle, haven't they?
Win's a win, though.
Yeah, but you can't bring in. You got Matt Morgan. You got these guys that played over in France with Victor.
Yep.
And now he's playing in the UK for London. But obviously they play on this Euro stage, and that's what attracts those guys to London because they play in the Euro.
So what do you think about them resting people?
I get it.
They only play 36 games in a season.
Yeah, I get it, but
It's not many
nah.
to need resting.
I think theirs is if they play 3 games in a week, they might play 3 games and have a day off, and then they've got another game coming up. So they try and rotate, and they do have a deep enough bench to rotate anyone. The London Lions have got guys that can sit and play.
Yeah.
They've got like maybe 2 or 3 guys at every spot that could just come in and do a job. You got Luke Nelson coming off the bench. Like,
But if you're owning the league, if you're running the BBL now, you're on the spot.
yeah,
Paul's already said, just give them the cup. They're done. You know, there you go. Congratulations, you got the league. Well done.
yeah,
It's more interesting watching all the other teams moving up and
Compete.
down. And there's been so much movement
Yeah.
in the league as well.
Yeah.
People are in the second and then fourth, and people moving up.
yeah,
If you're managing the league, you want people to buy into the league.
yeah,
How do you do that?
yeah. It's tough.
Because they've just got a product of one team at the top, and that's the product.
Yeah,
It's not the league, isn't the product. The product's the Lions really at the moment,
yeah,
which is a shame because like Caledonia in Europe, Bristol are in Europe,
yeah. Newcastle
Newcastle are in Europe.
I guess you want to elevate the 9 up
Yep.
at the same level.
They need
Yeah.
more teams. You've got double the league.
But
without
what I
thinking
didn't
about
realise when you're talking about I didn't think about this when you're talking about contracts that at any point they might have something in their contract where, bam, they're off. Oh, I got an
Yeah.
offer in Spain. I'm gone.
Yeah.
So do you think in the contracts there's nothing that says right? You got to wait at least a year, or it'll be like
No,
if
they
someone big
they
comes
probably
in.
have buy-ins. Yeah, they probably have. Their agents probably talk contracts and say, look, this is a stopping gap for us. We'll play, but there's got to be a get-out clause. So like your Devon Van Noostroms that played and then left. Like where, you know, 1 week they're there, 1 week they're not. And you think, right, that didn't used to happen back in the day. As soon as you started the BBL season, that those guys were there every game. And now players go and come. One game you've got someone and someone's commentating saying, oh, so-and-so's left us now and we brought in someone else.
Yeah,
They rotate.
I have noticed a few people being just released from contracts.
Yeah,
and
they go, don't they? And then they bring in someone else.
yeah. So that must suck a little bit as a player if you just
Yeah,
like, even if you, because that means that essentially you've got a contract, but kind of at any point we can just pull the rug anyway.
yeah.
That's your old coach.
It's almost
with
like a
the plane
running
ticket,
yeah,
isn't it?
10-day contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like a running contract. What was it like when you were playing for the Tigers?
So when I played for the Tigers, it was fantastic. My teammates were awesome. I got to play in Wembley. I mean, we used to go to Coventry Sky Dome. We played on Sky Sports. It was awesome. Like the bit that we would, if we talk to my local league teammates now, well, like Painter, the one thing we say we missed the most, if not, well, maybe the second most, other than playing in front of crowds, is the travelling. Like sitting on a minibus, sitting on a coach, playing cards with the lads, listening to music. That side of it, I miss.
Yeah.
The banter.
I know so many players who always say that, the away games.
It's the sitting in a bus. Like if you talk to them now, we used to play cards. Nick Nurse showed me this game called AC Deuce, which was a gambling game. We used to gamble on the buses. Guys would like write checks and leave them in the middle, and it was all that kind of stuff I miss. And then, but at Thames Valley, it was brilliant. But then sadly, my girlfriend at the time was American, and I thought I was going to move out and live with this girl in America. So I made my plans to move out and not play. And then something happened and we kind of just separated. went our ways. It wasn't going to work out. But at that point, it was mid-season. It was like mid-contract time. So my contract was up with Thames Valley. So they signed someone else. So then Paul's like, we'd love to have you back, but your minutes are going to get cut in half because we've got this.
Oh, wow.
We've brought in Eric Burks. And I'm thinking, oh, man. So now...
Eric, you suck.
Yeah, I was like, brilliant, great timing. But then luckily Romek down at Brighton Bears was like, we need a guard. Do you want to come play for Nick Nurse and Brighton Bears? And it was like, yeah.
So you had the option of staying with the Tigers?
I would have loved to, yeah. But then I thought I was going to move to the States and start a life.
And what was that, 3 years?
I was with Thames Valley for 3 years, yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, I did. I joined them halfway through the 99 season. It might have been 3 or 4 years. Because I played with John twice, and in one season he went away to Scotland. So I want to say 4 years maybe. And then I went and played with Nick down at the Brighton Centre. And
like, did you have aspirations at that point? Like, I want to get back to America. I want to be playing in the NBA. Did you, like, after, were you thinking that? Because, like, I guess by the time you finish college, that's when most guys go through the draft. Were you thinking that? Or?
No, not really. I mean, back then, I was in an NAI Division 1 school. I wasn't naive to think that in order for me to make the NBA, I had to be something special. Like 5'11" guard from England playing NAI Division 1 basketball. They're looking at Duke. They're looking at North Carolina. They're looking at these types of caliber players. Now, you know, these D1 schools, they're already getting drafted. They've already been handpicked before they've even gone to the universities. I would just love to play for money and continue playing as long as possible. And when I went to Solent after Brighton, then someone from Spain come over and they were like, we'd love for you to come and play in Spain, in Alicante.
Oh, wow.
So I went out there for a trial for 4 days and played in Spain with these guys. And I enjoyed it, but the language barrier was an issue. There was one American and he was trying to translate a lot of things that the coach was saying. But they were offering the same money as Solent. So it's a bit like, do I want to go to Spain and deal with this? They wanted me to coach.
This is Solent Stars?
Yeah. They wanted me to go and coach out in Spain and run their little youth program. I couldn't speak a word of Spanish, and I thought, right, do I want to go? Am I only going for the money? If so, I might as well just stay at Solent where I'm comfortable. So I did. I stayed. Jim Rumsey kind of convinced me to come back and play for the Stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. That is the end of this part, but do not worry, because coming soon is the second part of this episode, and it will be available soon.